Hey everyone, and welcome again to our next installment in the Tribe series. Today we're going to be covering the artists in the industry. I myself am Kevin Briones, art director for the Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. I do all the motion graphics for the Leafs and the Raptors. I'm joined here with Francis Manapul.
I'm Francis Manapul. I'm writer and artist for DC Comics. I wrote and drew characters like The Flash, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Yeah, I've pretty much drawn everything under the sun and basically everything DC.
I want to talk a little bit about how taking our art and our craft and then taking it into these two different kind of career paths where, you went the professional comic book illustrator route. And then for myself, taking the design route.
When I got to DC, I wanted to be solid, and I felt like there was still a lot I needed to learn. So I kind of took a bit of a side route to get to DC. I did this French graphic novel for this company in Paris. And the way they do their storytelling is very different from American comics, but I felt that was a crucial learning experience in order for me to become a better storyteller once I got to DC. So when you had that fork, I'm also curious about that, because you had you were about to start your comic book career as well, and then you went the design route. I'm curious what led to that decision.
I had gone to college for graphic design. So then I had already gotten a taste for, just being a graphic designer, and then learning motion graphics on my own and refining that skill. Comics being pretty, I don't want to say competitive, but, there's a lot of amazing talent out there.
Yeah.
For me, there's a need to try and find a way to stand out. So it was exploring those other skills, right? And I've always tried to find ways to work my art and my influence just into my professional graphic designs. You have Pascal Siakam, 3. That's exactly the same as logo, Superman, Batman, right? So it's a lot of my compositions. I even kind of lay it out the way I would lay out a cover.
Has being a Filipino Canadian influence a lot of the work that you've been doing, both from the comic and from the graphic design part?
Definitely the work ethic has.
Yeah.
I'm no stranger to, working those long hours to make it, to make any particular piece the best that it could be.
Well, what's kind of funny, because I feel like one of the things that I've experienced growing up, is always this sense of being the underdog, right? Yeah. So it always feels like if this person has to work 90% or 100%, I always felt like I had to try 150%.
Yeah.
And it's kind of all right, well, I'm not very big. That means I have to be very fast.
Yes.
Or if you're shoot, I'm not very fast. All right, I got to be scrappier.
Yeah.
All right, not very scrappy. I'm going to have to cheat.
You have to find a way. So Francis, now that we're at, we both reached these points in our careers, and finding our groove, finding our places in the industry. What do you do to stay sharp out there? What do you do to, kind of challenge yourself as an artist in your craft?
It's kind of going back to your roots. I'm sure you've had to do this as well, right? Is that it takes a lot of work to establish yourself in the industry, right? And the only kind of rough guideline that I knew is that once I got to work on certain characters or work on certain marquee books, I knew that's when you could take more chances, right?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get comfortable and stay within the confines of a corporate world, I guess, because if I stay at DC, I know I'll always get to work on those characters I grew up and I love, right? And I'll always have a good opportunity to, I guess, if we were to use basketball as an analogy, it's like at DC, I get to stay on the starting lineup.
Yeah.
You know, and doing something that is kind of more for yourself and becoming independent in, let's say, the world of create your own work, or something that is leaving the corporate world. It is very scary, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of how you keep yourself engaged, right? I think that's kind of what it is, right? I think you can have the thing that gets you into the industry with your work ethic, ironically, I think is also what will get you through complacency, which is having new challenges.
It's almost like this time around, it's not DC who's calling you up. It's kind of your own independence as an artist that's calling you up.
Right, exactly.
You're kind of telling your independence, like, not quite there yet, but I will be.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it's always scary to go out on your own, but you know, I feel like any major stride I've made in my work has been when I've taken a risk. Every time I've left something bigger, I moved on to something bigger and better for me anyways, right? And I'm not, the message here isn't like be a quitter. It's more, I think the diligence that you apply to every work that you do sets you up for success to the next move that you make.
I mean, I know for me, I always try to top what I did last year, right? Because each season for each team has a distinct look.
Yeah.
And there's only, you know, it's easy to fall into a groove of like, this is what sports graphics looks like. You take those risks. One year we did a whole game with the Raptors where everyone had to wear those old school 3D glasses on red and blue.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like to think it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I've got a photo of like just the whole audience just kind of staring up and looking up at that big main board.
Yeah.
It's finding those challenges and then taking those risks based off of like what you learn. Like, okay, this didn't work last time.
Yeah.
So I can try this, or no one's ever done this. So let's go and do it like this.
As an artist, you always kind of have to challenge yourself, because it's about keeping yourself engaged, right?
Yeah.
Once you're no longer engaged in something, and it doesn't matter what discipline you're doing, whether it's comic book art or music or sports or whatever, right? It's about being engaged in the work that you're doing. As soon as your heart's not into it, because you know you're kind of phoning it in, that's when things go sideways. You know?
That's when you know it's time to go.
That is when you know it's time to go, right?
You know, it's not only the knowledge that you're bringing, the knowledge of your, you know, what you've done before to bring you into that next step, the relationships that you've developed, the networks that you've developed. Like, you're not, even though it's like you yourself who's going off into your own direction, you're still bringing, you know, so-and-so here is still, you know, I still work with her. So yeah, there's no real reason for that to stop. I think it's those connections that you still bring with you, that you're never truly going off into that next step by yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing, is that you'll find that relationships that you've established for many years, people that you may have not even worked with, it kind of comes around, you know, and it's kind of more natural, you know, less so of a forced effort to work together because you guys get along, but there's a natural synchronicity to your goals, right?
Well, Francis, thanks for joining us for this latest installment of the Tribe series. Hopefully talk to you soon.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.